Okay. Um, okay. We're going to start out slow with this. I'm going to show you some objects, and then we're going to go up into why I write the books that I do. So this is a piece of amber from the Jurassic period, and it has a trapped insect in it. Frozen. If I could get the DNA from this insect, I could probably get some DNA for some viruses, RNA for some viruses. There's probably some E. coli trapped here. E. coli takes in genetic material from its surroundings. And in the classical form of any of the Jurassic Park movies, I could get the blood that the insect was feeding on here. Maybe clone a dinosaur, I don't know. But if it was eating blood of an animal in the environment and it happened to be a dinosaur, red blood cells don't have the nucleus when they're fully mature in the peripheral system. So the insect probably did not get stem cells or, bone marrow cells. Anyway, you're going to see why I brought this up. It's cliche for one, but it demonstrates a principle. So there's a type of meteor and this has been around since the beginning of the solar system. Okay? So you could get things like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen from these. The dating techniques in the billions of years, right? So carbon-14 isn't around billions of years. So these are those types of meteorites that have been around since the beginning of the solar system. Why does this have a circular indentation on it? It's impossible. Look at this. This meteorite that's from the beginning of the solar system has right angles to it. All right. So this is metal meteorites floating in space, right? You do atomic absorption on this, it doesn't match anything on Earth. You're like, whoa. Right? I mean, it shows up right, anyone who, they think you're playing a joke on them. And you can see all of those have the classic signs of coming in through the atmosphere. So you could drill into those types of meteorites and sample what's in there. So this is a meteorite that I've cut, right? Metal in space. So I began polishing this, and it was way out there. So I happen to be an engineer on an electron microscope in Silicon Valley. And the electron microscope I had was bought from Intel when they made the first wafers. We used it for working in Silicon Valley, and it was put together with wire wrap boards. They didn't have electron microscopes before, so the first ones were, some guys took some wire wrap and just, wired each wire from a schematic on a breadboard. And that was our electron microscope. So if you went to go and repair, right, there's no spare board to put in. It's a wire by wire by wire by wire by wire on a schematic. So I convinced our scientist, PhD in physics, hey, let's take a look at this. So pretty much the top scientists in the world, engineers and technicians, we don't even know what that is, that sample. What's the question? What is it? What's the meaning of it? So now I'm going to take you further. So this is a Mars meteorite, suspected Mars meteorite. This has layers of erosion visible from water. See, like a layer cake. Now at the time I had this. They didn't think there was water on any other planet except Earth. Now on Mars, there's the latest, like a couple days ago, is that there's a snowfield the size of Lake Superior, covered with a minimum of 3 feet of dust to 30 feet of, Mars dirt. It's not called soil yet because it hasn't been proven that, there's pine trees or anything up there. And the reason I say pine trees is, where do I start getting into some of the photos of Mars. But, so these are the meteorites, and how I got into some of the books that I've gotten into. You can see that this is the physical, looking at the meteorites. I've weighed those meteorites. Density is mass over volume. So you can get the density of it. It doesn't even make any sense for anything. And even if you look at the electron microscope, if you know anything about electron microscopes, you get the graph of the material, and of course, it's just completely meaningless. When you compare things on Earth, what they are. Like I said, meteorites, carbon-14 has no value. Potassium, argon, I don't know. But what you can do is, how much carbon there are in those types of meteorites. Are there fossils of like E. coli? What is the viral DNA, the RNA of the viruses can survive. They I don't have any examples, but viruses look like 30-sided dice. You've ever seen a dice with 30 sides that's used in like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that? They're crystals, viruses. You can hit them with X-rays and they'll survive. So, if that thing is from the Mars, Mercury has water in the craters. Mercury is not exactly inhospitable. Snow is in the Mercury in the shadows of some of those craters, and I don't know. You'd have to do an analysis. Some people know, like of all the rotations of Mercury, the facing of it. There's zones of habitability in Mercury. I got pictures of, some interesting features of Mercury. So Mercury is like a moon of something that has been knocked out from one of the planets. Mercury could be a moon of Mars, and Phobos, that looks like a potato of Mars, could have knocked Mercury out of its orbit and replaced it. And Mercury, there's all kinds of, you could work those out in computer simulations. So those are the meteorites. It's chapters, and in some of my books, I am going through contractors to try to convince them to run tests on some of them, because when you get the results back, they're completely meaningless. It's like if you are dropped from a helicopter on a mountain and you have this snow that's never been skied down the slope before. You're skiing down this mountain in completely untouched snow. You don't know what you're getting into. The same thing, you run a test on something like that, you don't know what you're getting into. So that's the Mars meteorites and the meteorite solar system portion of this book that I'm writing, and I was going to update you on that.